Hello, and welcome to my cellar once again. We'll get right to it. He's been getting rather lengthy, and we'll see if I can't shorten him a little. But since I don't know exactly what I'm going to say before I start the start button. And well, anyway, okay, commenting on resurrection. I've got one I'm going to end on too. Damn it, I was enjoying my afterlife in paradise, and you resurrected me back to the toils and suffering of the material plane. Good point. And wouldn't it be fun as a DM if somebody did this and they came back, have a chance for being pissed off and come back a little deranged and just matter in hell at you for bringing them back? Isn't that a great way to be thanked for your generous behavior? Oh, sorry, it's that time of the night. Okay, now, next one. Wow, you're using QR codes now, Tim. I'm impressed. I'm way younger than you, but I feel like a Neanderthal in comparison. Well, that wasn't me. That was Benjamin, my IT guy, who edits all this and puts it together. And from now on, when there's a website, and there will be one tonight that I'm citing, I'll put them in the beginning, in the synopsis of what this is all about. And that way, because apparently my holding of a sheet of paper doesn't work worth a damn. So that's what we're going to do now. You will see a website reference, an HTTP, and that will be what I'm going to talk about in a little while. I'll tell you then again. One way I handle character death at the table is when a character gets dirt napped, I allow him to play an NPC for the remainder of the evening, and if there is none, I insert one and then take the player off to the sky, discuss the NPC briefly, then back to the game. The player can play, have fun for that session, we worry about re-rolling a character later. Nice idea. I'm all for engagement and staying engaged at the table, absolutely. What's to say that the player is going to play the NPC exactly how you'd like them? Oh, pardon me. I know that's rude. I'll try to turn away next time. Anyway, what do you do if they decide, I'm going to get even on them now every time they wouldn't listen to any of that, wouldn't listen to that, and they just bedevil them? Had that happen once. They just made the rest of the party's life hell. Not so much overtly as covertly and smugly. And so, yeah, it's a good thing, but you gotta have an understanding with your players that they're not going to be too bad of a dick when they come back and repay all their supposed grievances. Yeah, I'll think about it in a minute. How do I handle the cleric's prayers? I'm intrigued in this system. Okay. In a nutshell, it's what the clerics do are not spells, mumbo jumbo, lighting candles, whatever. Now there may be candles lit, but it's not, making salt pinnacles and those kind of things like a magician does. It's a cantrip. It's a chant. It's a prayer. Now, the way my world works, you start out as a whatever level cleric, and because nowadays I don't start everybody off at first level, and all the levels associated, or all the prayers associated with the level that you are now. Say I start you out as a third level cleric in my campaign. You know all the prayers for first, second, and third level that first, second, and third levels can know. it's knowing all the next level of prayers that I think you're doing when all of a sudden, oh, I'm 4th level through experience. Well, part of how I justify that is that, and in the course of your striving and your adventuring and whatever, you are learning them, and you kind of like pass a test for whatever deity you follow. Okay, you get all the boxes ticked off. You're the next level now. I still limit them to how many of these prayers, these special prayers that a cleric can say in a day, the same potency, if you will. If a cleric, and I'm just going to pick 3 numbers, if a cleric can have 3 firsts, 2 seconds, and a third, and they've used up a second, or no, let me think a minute here. Yeah. If they need to throw, it's very late. Hang on, I gotta explain this correctly. They can burn a higher level slot for a lower level prayer, but they can't cash them in. So if you've used up all your first levels and you've got a 2nd level prayer, potency, mana, however you choose to quantify it, you can do it. You can't, however, say, oh, I have a 2nd level slot left, I can throw 2 ones. No. You're limited in a number of prayers, that many prayers or less in a given day. Simply because of the psychic drain, the tapping into your plane of worship, whatever it may be, it has the same levels. But the great advantage is the cleric does not have to decide in advance what spells, in this case, what prayers he's going to have. He knows them all. So they're always at his advantage, or always at his access, rather. That is his advantage. And I think it makes the clerics a lot more fun to play, and a lot more interesting, and a lot more integral. Anyway, that's the way I do it. You toil along, and when you have amassed enough experience points to go up, I assume that you have learned the necessary prayers. No, I don't give that advantage to wizards, but wizards can go out and find scrolls and stuff with level spells much higher than they can cast, and then all of a sudden one day they can. Or if you, in your world, you allow them to study, maybe they can master a high level spell. Only say it once in a while, whatever, however you want to adjudicate it. How do I picture the legendary creature, the thunderbird? I may have asked you this question before. Well, I tended to picture a thunderbird in an abstract. The thunderbird is a near deity or a deity worshipped by many Native American peoples. And so I don't get that would be someone a Native American cleric might pray to in the preceding topic, if called down to this plane, mighty, terrible, and wielding unlimited thunderbolts, lightning bolts, unlimited. So not necessarily anybody you'd care to meet if they weren't real fond of you. Okay, about the painting. He started painting in '78 in Southern California, and they used primers and acrylics from the local hobby shops. Well, great. I had the only the only hobby shop that in '78 that I had access to was the burgeoning dungeon hobby shop, and we couldn't order every single paint that we wanted to put in the shop because, like every other store, we started out small. Some of this, some of that. What do you want? Okay, we'll get more of that. Nobody wants this. We won't get any more. I mean, that was Ernie, and he did a bang-up job, but he couldn't have everything in there. And for many years, I had been using Humbrolls, which were enamels, but they weren't shiny and hard and nail polish looking like testers. It was only later, after I moved to Ohio, that I started experimenting with primers and got into gesso and all those things. But that was still quite some time ago. That was the early '80s when I first started getting in, so I'm not all that far behind. And also, I didn't have time to paint figures when I was working. I didn't paint anything. In fact, between the time I left college, and I painted a mass of figures in college, I didn't paint anything, I don't believe, while I was at TSR. Just got out of painting. The thing I did paint, but it wasn't figures. There was a time when we took the Fight in the Skies counters, later known as Dawn Patrol, same game, and we would paint them to have individual color patterns and paint patterns on them, just because it's splashed up the board. So after college, 75, I didn't paint again until the early 80s. All right, now, I don't mean to criticize this individual. I mean this question to serve as an exemplar. After 3 days of hill climbing, you reach a stable footing and glance up the mountain. The mountain vapors dissipate enough to reveal a fortress made of dark stone. My question is, what monsters or bad guys would you put in the fortress, and how would they get into it? Really? You could put anything in there. Dark fortress. You could put nothing in there and have it inhabited by ghosts and liches and stuff like that. How do you get in? I don't know. Does it have a door? Do you find a partial cave-in where a hiding or escape hole out of the castle has collapsed and you can get in through that way? I don't know. There's a million ways to do that. Come in through the sewers. Is it still inhabited? What could I put in there? I could put in bad guys. I could put in an evil wizard. I could put in an order of beneficent monks who will take you in, give you magic soup, and train you for 2 weeks, and you all go up a level in fighting skills. Those of you that are fighters. And if one of you is a cleric, well, you'll go up a level because they'll teach you new ways to meditate. And if you're a magic user, they're going to give you a new magic powder. Whatever. The idea is should just start flowing and go with it. Just let it flow, brother. Let it flow. As for bards, and this is the website that I'm going to put on there. It's about bards. As for bards, I mostly played 2nd edition, but ever since I heard YouTuber Noah Antweiler talk about his 1st edition bard, I've been inspired to play 1st edition as a bard. He emphasized how first edition is not some wimpy musician, but has a number of high ability scores, has proven himself through years of adventuring as a fighter and a thief, and has learned from the druids and now has many skills. Absolutely. The first level bards were badass. Absolutely badass. They had all these skills and ability. They could handle themselves. And then they had this bardic ability. I'm so favorably inclined toward 1st edition bards that in a adventure I wrote where everyone was turned into an animal and continue the adventure in a world of anthropomorphic animals, the bard was the one who had the greatest potential for saving their bacon in a couple of potentially crucial encounters. Now, he wasn't a bard before they were transformed, but I put a bard in there and gave them some amazing skills in keeping with what I felt the first level bards would have to be. Because to become a first level bard, you already had to be like a 5th level fighter and a 3rd level thief. So I mean, you're competent as all hell to begin with. So I'm going to put the address. Thanks for answering my question. I'll take your advice and have the rewinder work just the one time. Cool. In setting up a new adventure or starting up a new campaign, one has to be very, very careful about potential long-term effects. I learned my lesson my very first campaign with not filtering what the dice said should be there, and that ring of that polymorph self or whatever the hell it was that Neil had so much fun abusing until he finally spammed himself. If I'd known what it was likely to become, I'd have never put it in the first place. So if you're thinking about creating something to put into a game, especially a new creation, think long and hard about how it can be perverted. Because clever players will figure out a way to do new things with it, or achieve new effects or new results. I've always had non-combat / trap experience not issued until it is returned to civilization and used or spent by the class's need standards. Tithing to organizations, carousing, charity, property, title buying, etc. All right. Okay. How you award experience. I mean no personal offense here, but I have a little trouble with the word award. And keep in mind, I just found something I need. Keep in mind that I have a differing opinion of leveling up, which I'll also get onto here later. So I don't see XP as being something bestowed upon you. The skies open up and a pile of XPs appear at your feet, or a sack full of them, or whatever. There's something that's been accrued as you go along, and when you've accrued enough of them, you are demonstrably better at whatever it is you do. It's acquired knowledge, it's acquired experience, it's painful lessons learned, it's keen observations made. That's how I view it. And we'll get to a little more about that in a minute, in another coming at it from a different direction. The treasure, how do you give this question, you don't tithe XP, you don't buy property with XP. So the question is a little ambiguous. Okay, now we'll go on to some more on XPs and treasures. Tim, in the example of the fighter being awarded experience for spending 50,000 gold piece to build and staff a keep, you mean to tell me that you would not reward that player for the completion of a castle? Nope. And if you're only charging 50,000 to build it, you better be using the cost charts or an extrapolation of from the very first book, because that was a very sparse economy. much like the western states in the 40s and 50s, where 10 cents would get you a decent meal. And if if it was a bar, 15 cents might get you a beer and a really good, big, thick, hearty sandwich, or whatever, which would, fill you up for the day, or at least most of the day. So that number needs to be commensurate with the scaling of your economy. So no, I wouldn't do it for doing that, because why would I give more experience points when somebody just built themselves a castle to make themselves more powerful, to make themselves unassailable? They should get XP also? No. They accrued XP getting to the point where they could afford to build it, but they shouldn't then get it again. That's for some reason, it seems like some sort of double dipping to me. All right, we'll continue on here. Do you reward a thief for disarming a devious trap? Of course, extra XPs. What about a wizard that creates a wand or a magic sword after much? No, I don't care if it's scary, any possible failures. Having created that magical item, you have it to use forever and ever, or until you lose it or it gets destroyed. That is reward in and of itself. That is reward enough in my worldview. That is reward enough. You took the risks of, selling your soul to Beelzebub and whatever to make this magical item that's okay. You succeeded. You should not. I don't think you should get more experience for that, because you have the item, which is going to help you accrue more experience in the future. Just like that castle, if the DM decides that there's a horde of barbarians coming by and they attack your castle, look at all the XPs you're going to suck up killing those buggers off. Those types of things enable you to get more XP in the future. Shouldn't get XP now for just making them. If you're a wizard and you're doing some long incantation and that, you've already done things to acquire all the ingredients, and chances are you acquired some of the ingredients doing other things that were acquiring experience, that involved acquiring experience. We'll continue. He said then, all right, in amending his original question, I should have led with awarding experience for the defeat of monsters alone becomes impractical as you approach higher levels with the way the experience point scale curves out. Therefore, awarding experience for the acquisition of treasures secured during an adventure is a pragmatic method in character advancement. I don't see how you could not award experience to a fighter for completing what is quintessentially the apex of playing that class. Surely the construction and inauguration of this new fiefdom, which could take up to several years to complete in game, has to carry an experience boon. How did Gygax or Kuntz award experience in Lake Geneva back in the day? They didn't give it to you for building a castle. Neither one of them did. They didn't give it to you for creating a new magic wand or something, because they, as far as I remember, particularly I can speak for Gary, you had that item which was then going to allow you to accrue more experience successfully. That's the way it was. Were you just grinding on monsters alone to beef up? No. Great play, brilliant problem solving. There were many, many ways to get XP without having to kill something. All right, if I was taking a time machine back to the old TSR, I'm grabbing a piece of original art, probably the cover of either the original AD&D Monster Manual that grabbed my imagination as a 4-year-old, or the Elmore Red Box that taught me how to play. Well, good luck on getting that cover that Tramp did. you would have to have pinpoint timing, and it probably wouldn't have been possible. You'd have had to waylay the printer somewhere. Tramp had an uncanny knack for knowing when the printer was bringing his original stuff back, and he was always there to both receive it and inspect it. Good luck on that one. Now, I don't know about the Larry Elmore. It might have sat in a closet for a while. I don't know. Okay, a short retort on writing strange mounts. Okay, Red Dead Redemption 2. I don't play it. I've heard about it. A direct approach to random mounts results in it kicking the shit out of one. Okay, yeah, you don't just walk up and say, "Hi, I'm going to ride you." However, if one finesses the horse, pets it, feeds it, brushes it, sometimes things go easier. Well, yeah, okay, that makes sense. You try to gentle it, or at least not have it either run away from you or bite your arm off. That would make sense. All right. According to Drive-Thru's description of the old Blackmore supplement, they're originally meant to be a Sage player class, which you converted into an NPC class instead. Do you recall any details about the class as it was intended, and why did you decide to convert it? A couple of reasons why it got converted. How are you going to award experience to a Sage? Ooh, I found a book I didn't have before. Ooh, I found a scroll I hadn't read before. How are you going to play a Sage? Walking around being that boring son of a bitch that knows everything and is going to lecture everybody? Oh, no, that's not the way you fight a dragon. However, as an NPC who you could go to tease out knowledge, who you could go to get a translation, that was a much more valid and viable idea back in the early stages. I have no idea what Drive-Thru said. I was given no preconceptions of anything when I was handed that pile of notes. I was simply said, here it is, Dave's supplement, go edit it and put it together. I didn't know about it was going to be this, it was going to be this, that. I saw the Sage, I said, wow, okay. It has no viability as a player character. You're going to, how do you become more sagey? Learn more, your head swells, become even more boring, and people want to poke sharp, pointy things into you when you stand around expounding on all your massive knowledge. I didn't see any viability in it as something you could play. But I did see something in viability that would make a great NPC, which is a dodge for the DM to impart information to the players if they're smart enough to ask it. About level up training requirements in first edition. Time, effort, and a lot of money is required to attain next level abilities, title, etc. in 1E. I have a suggestion for a more organic way to accomplish this. As each class has its own auspices and guild, i.e. Thieves Guild, Fighter Guild, Clerics, Paladins, churches, and deities, my workaround is to attain title and level up. PCs must perform service, a side quest, to attain full level up. Alright, stop here. I always thought training to go up a level was bullshit. Not the way I see things. I also thought having to rest and heal to get hit points back for the length of time that it was originally was also bullshit. If hit points are the points you expend to avoid getting killed, which I've pretty much established as the way I look at it, then you get experience along the way, okay? All the time you're a 5th level fighter. You're out there learning new tricks, learning new dodges, getting experience. What does the experience represent? How to spot a new weak spot. Learning the whatever. They are skills or little things, bits of knowledge that you pick up along the way that make you do what you do better, to do it better, to pray better, to fight better, to wizard better. That's the way I see it. Side quests are fine for paladins that screwed up, or somebody that's really violated their ostensible, their supposed alignments. I like those. If hit points are what you expend to keep from getting stabbed, because the point has been made that most people would not survive a simple stab wound with a 6 or an 8-inch bladed poignard or dagger. Not if it's just you and me out in the backyard with no medics standing by or anything like that. So that's all you have to be avoiding, is that 8-inch dagger, because it can kill you. But you got 50 points to keep it from hitting you. I don't see why it would take you 3 weeks of lost campaign time to get those hit points back. A day or two, maybe. Rest and recuperate. I allow, in my adventures, if you get a full night's sleep, you can get some hit points back, restored. Sleeping. You're rejuvenated. You're refreshed. Your reflexes are a little sharper because you had that sleep. And if you don't get an uninterrupted night, well, you might still get a partial benefit. I've always played it that way. Well, always since I left TSR. I didn't play it anyway at all at TSR because I didn't run games there. Okay, the writer suggests that these side quests get harder the higher the level. Okay, that's fine. However, looking at the point differentiations, the XP needed to go up levels, that alone, when all of a sudden you need 75 to get to level whatever, and you need 125 to get to the next level. Jesus, that's 2/3 of what it took you to get to where you are, just to get one more. I think that's plenty steep enough. Plenty. That's the way I handle it. I don't see, if you're going to argue that it's not actually striking you and causing scars to form on you and all that, then you don't need to go to the hospital to heal up. Now, if you're trying to get those last few 100 or a couple thousand experience points to go up, I would have no problem if the player came to me and wanted to go get some special training. I decide, okay, how many days would it take? Okay, fine. And it wouldn't be easy. It wouldn't be, like a weekend probation or something like that. No. But there's ways to do that. I just never cared for them the way that it was originally slated to be. Here we go again with this. I like it in essence, but it seems a little bit mean to essentially withhold experience already earned. You're not. I don't understand the concept of withholding experience, because this also goes into the side quests, and you know, how do you only give part of the experience and then figure out the others been spent with your guild and all that? It's just unnecessary cluttering of the game. Let's have fun. Let's not worry about bureaucracy. Okay, I said we were going to end. Well, we're going to end role-playing stuff on this one. I don't allow resurrection ever. I do allow raised dead, but never resurrection. Time limit is a major difference. I agree. I do too. Okay, this is a rather short one tonight, it looks like. I have one more report to make. As you know, I've been talking off and on about a game called Black Seas. And I made an order to England to get some more ships. 43 days it took to get from England. 43 days. What is it, a goddamn clipper ship they're putting them on? Clipper ships make it quicker than 43 days. Clipper ships could bring it to the East Coast and they could put it on a Pony Express rider, on a stagecoach, and get it here quicker than 43 days. I don't know what the orange one did that about the Universal Postal Union and all that, and I don't know what that idiot DeJoy has done, but oh my God, I hope they can get this cleared up. 43 days. Now, when it got here, the package, the actual merchandise, weighed, I would say, a little less than half the total weight because of the box and the packing. Now, it came perfectly unmarred, great shape, everything, but half what was spent on postage was the box and the paper that it was in. Now I have a quibble with warlords and part of this game, pieces of this game. This game uses ship cards that have markings along them that record points, ship values. You take a broadside, you might lose 4 of your 36 hit points or whatever, okay, damage points. And the cards themselves are a nice, not luxurious, but nice card stock, nice glossy finish. And then they made these little red paper things that were supposed to slip over, have a window, and you slide it up and down, and your numbers in there. Well, they're junk. They're too flimsy. They're much thinner than the cards that they go on. The cards will cut right through them. So if you do decide to go to the game, find the tiniest paper clips you can find, and colored if you can. If not, spray paint them and replace that crappy paper. That's really the only real gripe I have about the game. But what were they thinking with these things? Our first game, we tore one, and we were being careful. But hey, other than that, now I figure if it took 43 days for the last order, then let's see, Phil and I ordered on Monday. That would have been the 19th. Or no, we ordered on Tuesday, the 20th. It takes 43 days. That's another 11. And then sometime in September, we'll get our order. Now, this order's immense. Lots of ships, and my buddy spent a ton of money. I only spent a little. He spent a ton of money on it because we're Gonna build all the navies of the world and fight them and play them. Yeah, gee, in September. Thanks, Orange Man and Joy, for screwing up our postage. And what happens if the prevailing winds go against us? Will it be 53 days? Or maybe I'll get a favorable wind and it'll only be 35 days. It's hard to believe this is happening when we used to be able to get something back and forth. Something that wasn't a box and shipping in a week, 10 days tops. Now it's 43. All right. Let's see what's going on. Still countdown to game hole. Doing the Legends and Founders number, I don't know, 4 or 5, is this weekend. And on Sunday, Luke and I are the first half hour of the opening thing, I think, or whatever. We're going to talk back about the old days when he was a little bitty kid running around the house. And I was a nice hippie-looking dude with the long hair and the sideburns and mustache. I don't know what we're going to talk about. And then August 9th, I'm doing Dungeon Master Dojo. So look for me on one of those. Let's see, what else have I done recently you ought to go look for? Oh, well, go look for Epic Levels Mad Dungeons. The one I did there is out now and available. And when you get tired of looking at all that, you'll have to find something real to do. In the meantime, Dodata Gobi. Gotta push the right button, Tim. Oh, hello. I'm still figuring out when this thing starts. Welcome to my cellar.
He's the curmudgeon who wrote about the dungeons. Now he's the feller, live from the cellar. Talks about D&D and old school RPGs. Still quite a feller, the curmudgeon in the cellar.
Last man around when the race went down. Calling Gary in that Lake Geneva town. Hey Gary, it's an awful mess. Let me edit, we'll have success. D&D and Dragon Magazine.
He's the curmudgeon who wrote about the dungeons. Now he's the feller, live from the cellar. Talks about D&D and old school RPGs, but he's still quite the feller, the curmudgeon in the cellar.
Magic missile, it's a mortar shell. Make it hit in the first level spell. Brought psionics to the game to attack that wizard brain. PSR and fantasy, collection of micro armory. Tight with tramp under a tree, high as could be. He's the curmudgeon who wrote about the dungeons. Now he's the feller, live from the cellar. Talks about D&D and old school RPGs, but he's still quite the feller, the curmudgeon in the cellar. Still quite the feller, the curmudgeon in the cellar. Curmudgeon.